It began with a phone call. Just after midnight on a cold February night in 1986, Reverend Samuel Carter answered the ring that pulled him from sleep. He slipped quietly from the parsonage, left his wife sleeping upstairs, and walked into the dark. He never returned. Reverend Carter was 47 years old, a husband, father of 2 grown children, and the spiritual heart of a small rural Indiana town called Maple Hollow. For 15 years, he had stood at the pulpit of Grace Baptist Church, preaching with a calm voice and steady conviction. He was known for his generosity. He once paid the utility bill for a struggling family out of his own pocket, and for his strict sense of morality. By 1986, Maple Hollow had grown accustomed to his presence, as if he were as permanent as the church steeple that rose over the cornfields. Few could imagine a Sunday morning without his sermons. But on that night, everything changed. Hours after the mysterious call, parishioners found his car idling just outside the church doors. The headlights glowed against the stone walls. Inside, on the front seat, lay his well-worn Bible, open to the Gospel of John. There was no sign of a struggle. The driver's door was ajar, the keys still in the ignition. It was as if Reverend Carter had simply stepped out and vanished into the night air. The county sheriff's department launched an immediate search. Dogs traced his scent as far as the back steps of the church, but the trail evaporated in the icy wind. Volunteers scoured fields, barns, and frozen ditches. No footprints in the snow gave a clue. Whispers began to spread. Some parishioners suggested he had run off with another woman, or worse, that he had been hiding something. But his wife, Margaret, stood firm. Sitting in her kitchen surrounded by reporters, she insisted, "Sam was faithful to me. He loved his congregation. If he left, it wasn't by choice." Theories multiplied. Some believed he had been lured from his home by a troubled parishioner in need of counsel. Others thought he had stumbled into something darker, blackmail, debt, or a secret life no one wanted to admit was possible. The congregation itself became fractured. For years, Reverend Carter had preached about sin, forgiveness, and the strength of faith. But with his absence, doubts crept in like shadows. Some clung to the belief that their pastor had been a martyr, taken because of his righteousness. Others, quieter but persistent, whispered that perhaps he had betrayed them, that the holy man they trusted had been living a double life. Sunday mornings at Grace Baptist became a theater of tension. Parishioners who once greeted one another warmly now sat in silence, divided by suspicion. When visiting pastors filled the pulpit, their sermons fell flat, unable to cut through the ache of uncertainty. The missing man had left more than an empty seat at the table. He had torn the fabric of trust in an entire community. Months passed with no sign of him, until one spring morning the janitor of Grace Baptist made a chilling discovery. On the altar, carefully placed between 2 hymnals, lay a handwritten letter. It was short and unsettling. "Forgive me. My sins are greater than you know. I cannot return. Samuel." The congregation gasped. The sheriff sent the letter to forensic experts, who studied the slant of the handwriting, the pressure of the pen strokes, the rhythm of the words. Their conclusion: it was a forgery. If the pastor had not written it, who had? And why leave it in the one place guaranteed to rip apart the last strands of faith his flock held on to? Weeks of renewed investigation, the case went cold. No ransom demands arrived. No bodies surfaced in nearby rivers or woods. No credible sightings were ever confirmed. The sheriff eventually filed the disappearance under suspicious circumstances, an unsatisfying label for something that felt closer to a haunting. Officially, the case remained open but dormant. Unofficially, most believed Reverend Carter was gone for good. His family moved away within 2 years, weary of the constant stares and whispered accusations. Margaret never remarried, telling friends she still dreamed of him walking through the door. For Maple Hollow, the disappearance left a wound that never truly healed. Grace Baptist Church remained without a permanent pastor for years. Candidates who visited often left quickly, unnerved by the heavy silence that filled the sanctuary and the stares of parishioners still grieving, still searching for answers. The town itself split into quiet factions, those who believed Samuel Carter had been the victim of foul play, and those who thought he had fled from a sin too great to confess. 3 decades later, townsfolk still lower their voices when his name is mentioned. The parsonage stands empty, its windows dark, as though the building itself is waiting for its pastor to return. Some say that on winter nights, when the wind cuts across the fields, you can still see headlights glowing faintly near the church steps, and the faint echo of a phone ringing from somewhere inside.